Believe it or not, this is exactly where I've been feeding the fish on the underwater camera, seeing reactions to all different types of things, and it's been absolutely fascinating. I'm stood on the spot. It's that three and a half foot, and we've had some amazing footage, and yeah, it's worked out. It's worked out well in the time allocated. We didn't bait up for weeks and weeks and whatever. We just came in. We tried a new bait. We tried something different. We tried pop-ups on the spots. We tried everything, and I'd say it's a pretty successful little trip.
Come on then, mate.
Yeah, let's have a look at this then. All our hard work.
What do you reckon?
Look, wow, that looks wicked. Yeah, look at that. And there's two beautiful black tents there. Hopefully they'll clear up some of those boilies. And but what's interesting to me is I remember Lockie bringing out those nuggets, and it was Jim Foster that gave some to me at Wivy, and we put them on, and it didn't melt in the winter, like for about, I don't know, about 72 days. It was not that long.
That's going to be a while, isn't it, looking at that? Do you squash them on then?
No, I just rolled that round.
Yeah.
I don't squash them not flat. I just rolled that round. That's interesting because I've done quite well recently on these tuitions and whatever, and that's what we've been doing, and it's been working. So I know it'll come off. But yeah, that's really interesting now because we're in the height of summer.
They've scarpered, mate.
Scarpered, hopefully.
They've properly scarpered.
Hopefully there's a big carp.
Well, hopefully that foam comes off before he arrives, eh? But the bag, what are you saying about the bag though? That as you'd expect?
Yes, mate, yeah, that's, you can see the lead right in there.
Yeah.
It's expanded out. I've used the tiniest little pellets, they're like less than 2 mil. They're the little sort of, that's what you want in a sort of solid bag, and so hopefully we'll get a big troffer in. Yesterday I baited up the night before, and I went round yesterday morning, and there was at least 140, there was 140, at least a 30, maybe 2, and then there was about four, maybe 5, and one kept coming in on the periphery of it, and then he was zooming off. He kept like bolting away, and he was obviously scared of this spot, and it's going to take a little while. It's only 3 foot deep, so you know they're. I think my main worry is that we've got 30 odd degrees of sunshine this week, and we had it yesterday. But they were in there yesterday, so let's hope, fingers crossed, that yeah.
They return in the next hour or two.
As long as that bloody nugget goes there, Rich. Yeah, we'll see what occurs. Okay, guys, I'm going to share with you 3. I think I did 4 then. Right, start again. Oh, can't even do that on my fingers. So there's 3 fingers, 3 days. I'm going to share with you 3 points, and there's many more, but I'm going to share with you 3 of them that I found fascinating doing this type of footage. And spent a long time over the years doing rigs, teaching fishing through the tuitions, and what I've seen over this, having that capacity to see what we've seen, and the privilege of being able to see what we've seen. Number 1 point was tiny little touch on the rod, using a flat inline lead. 1 tiny little touch, if the wind got up, that moved that lead 2 or 3 foot. Now to me, we're doing that all the time. Every time we cast out, we'll pull up, yeah, we're onto the lead. That's moving, it's apparent.
Right, so you could have said we've had a bit of a mare, but we sort of haven't because it's still in shot. But you tweaking that line has moved it from there to there, which is, I guess, 12 inches, maybe 8 inches?
Maybe 8 inches, yeah, that's amazing.
That is just the stretches to the line.
That's amazing, because that's taught me something. Over the years, I've always tried to get the line parallel, moved it. I literally went out there, picked that up, the line was bowed slack. I've picked it up, tried to just shake a little bit of weed off, and it's moved it.
Yeah, the camera didn't pick it up. I checked the recording, but
did you?
But we're going to keep it where it is because you could see the rig pucker but it's still good.
Yeah, we
Still
still see we see that marker we put on the sight marker, and I just hope that if he comes in and he sucks at it, because we've straightened the hook link, because in the bag it has an S shape.
Yeah.
That's a massive key part for me, and quite often then I'm pulling away from these bags without even knowing it. And I did this just picking up the slack, and it moved. We had to literally let it settle. And I'm using 4-ounce leads, so that is it's a massive point, and it's one that I'm now going to implement into my tuitions, into the people I teach, and teach myself. I bet there's many times when I've had an opportunity and I've pulled away from it, and that's an amazing thing. It may not be to some of you, you might not know what, in theory, until you've watched that film, what I'm talking about, but it's a very valid point. Number two point. You know, I was up here a couple of days before we started the filming. They put the camera in. The first night there was nothing there, and I sat there around there and watching it. There's nothing, and so I thought I'm going to bait this up. You know, give it at least 36 hours where it's had some bait going in it, because we're asking these fish, which normally are in 14 foot of water. That's their environment. We're fishing in 3 foot. So we were asking a big ask for them to come up. Because of the filming, you can't film in 14 foot of water, you just can't. I'm sure one day we will have the technology to do it, but, so I was baiting the slopes down, and they were coming up, but what we had in that very small area was what I'd call a dead zone. It was an area that they picked off last. And if anything picked it off, it was the tench at the end, you know, in the mornings or the end of the day. And the carp weren't going on it. So I don't know, and I'm still trying to figure this one out in my head, why this was happening. And there's spots all over the lake that are doing that. You know, you'll get one rod that does all the bites, and then the other rod is only 6 foot away. I think I know why. Well, I've seen why. But trying to explain why, maybe it's a stinky silt area, it's an area that they feel uncomfortable with, there might be something, something's gone on that why they wouldn't feed there. So it's been amazing watching what's happening. Got a little sort of, the lights coming through the reeds, and the fish don't seem to want to come past it, so it might be a time to, you know, with the cock up, with the pop up, and the foam nugget as well. It's just been an interesting morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some 20mm boilies out and just try and pin the bigger fish down to eating boilies again. So in a minute I'm going to retrieve that bait that's out there and put it a little bit further back. Hopefully the camera will pick it up, and yeah, it's just been really interesting, and you know, I'm learning a lot from this, and you know, light levels and whatever. It's they're not coming past that little barrier of light, so we're going to change it up a bit, and you know, it's not all about catching, and it's interesting to see what's happening here, and so there's been some interesting facts, and yeah, I'm going to get on with changing the rod. And that is a massive, fascinating point. You know, if you've got a rod that's doing nothing and the other rod's doing something, I suggest putting it the other side of that rod or whatever, or just try. And you know, there's definitely sort of areas that you're not going to get biting, and that's proved it on here. Here comes, look, he comes straight in, look.
But the tench is totally in the way, isn't it?
Yeah, but look,
there's a lot of fish in the swim now.
Look.
There are a lot of fish in the swim.
Get out the way, tench. He's going to ruin it. Where's... there it is. Look. So he lifts up. Come on. Oh, the tench are like, what are you doing, tench? You're trying to ruin our film.
They're interesting how aggressive they are, the tench, though, and how willing to mix it with the carp.
Yeah, but look at this carp here, how high up he is. No, get out.
Yeah, so if he comes down on it, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
To rescue this presentation?
It's not going to rescue. Look at the size of him, Rich. That's look at that.
Sun coming through the reeds now,
yeah,
Steve,
mate. Look. This is just like a free-for-all, this. Come on. Look, it's sinking now, the wave is sinking.
I don't think it is it?
Isn't it? I don't know,
it sort of bobs around.
And then thirdly, which it's been a bizarre year. Normally spring, I call it clubbing seals time. I fish the winter, which is blinking difficult, like, you know, but that's my favourite time to try and outwit these carp when they're at their coldest. There's hardly anyone on the banks, and that's what I love. So I know all about windows of opportunity where you go down to an hour and a half. Sometimes in the winter you get an hour and a half. That's it. You know, I could reel my rods in, travel up to Newcastle from Southampton, travel back down again, have a nice roast dinner, put my rods in and catch the same amount of fish, because it's windows of opportunity. And this is what's been happening on here. I've been doing these tuitions on here for few months now, and this year normally you could get 18 hours out of a day, and the evenings are great. You know, going into dark, and then the darkness could be good. The early mornings, it's not been happening. This has literally been. The fish start at 10 o'clock and you get up till probably 12:30, where this window of opportunity, which is unusual, it's very, very unusual. The best feeding time, which could be an interesting point, the best feeding time on here is 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock. That's the best feeding time. So,
do you need to have the right rig in play then for that?
No. I mean, I've been doing the tuitions here. We haven't had a single bite at night, and the first bite we had was 10:05. Most of them between 11 and 1. So it might be that, you know, here we go. We've got them coming back in again now. So let's get. There's 2 carp there. Look, heading. No, he's turned away. So to have this in the height of summer, I know July can be quite a slow month sometimes. You know, quite a lot of the hard lakes I used to fish, they were always quiet after spawning, and then they have a good feed up after spawning, and then July can be slow. But this has been the whole time I've been here. The bites on certain lakes have been between 10 and 12 o'clock, which is bizarre. You know, in the daytime, it's like, you know, you've missed all that morning spell. The tench are coming in, but the carp are not. And I found that out in the open water as well, not just on this. So that's a real fascinating point and a key point why I think we've had a real messed up, you know, start to the year. The first 6 months of the year has been high pressures, hardly any wind. The lake levels are down, and I think it contributes to that fact. But it's one I've found super interesting. I hope you find it interesting. If you want to watch the film, head over to the Sepography website. Here we go. Come on.
Mate, every single fish is coming to there and turning. We've got to move the rig further out. To prove the effectiveness of that basic complicated, it has to be two foot further out.
Yeah. Well, totally agree.
Could ruin the swim though. At this stage, it is a dilemma.